Hello, I'm Russell Hunt with Pimenta, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make homemade bacon. It's a lot easier than you think and tastes way better than anything you'll ever buy at the store. So a couple things you're going to need is a pork belly uncured. A lot of times you can pick these up at Costco. They're about $4 a pound at Costco. Your local butcher shop may also have them, or another retailer. Other things you're going to need is some regular salt, some #1 curing salt, and some sugar. I'll show you how easy it is to make bacon at home and how delicious this bacon really can be. Okay, so I've got my pork bellies cut up into manageable pieces. I've went ahead and weighed each of them. I wrote down the weight in grams for each of these. That's important because the calculator that we're going to use in a few minutes uses grams as an input. So if you have your weight in pounds, that's fine. You're just going to have to do a conversion to see exactly how many grams you have. So I have 5 different pieces of pork bellies and 5 different measurements here as far as weight for each one of those. We'll be back in a few minutes. I'll show you exactly how to use the calculator, and then we'll start measuring out the amount of salt, cure, and sugar we need for each of these. Okay, there are a lot of great resources online regarding making bacon. So one of the ones that I reference occasionally is the Making Bacon Facebook group, the original. There's a couple different groups, but these guys are claiming they're the original, and they have a lot of great information that you can find here. One of the things that I use is the diggingdogfarm.com calculator cure. And you can see it very straightforward, easy to use, do all the math for you. So there's a few inputs on the top side of the calculator and a few outputs on the bottom. Basically, it'll tell you how much sugar, how much salt, and how much cure #1 you'll need to put on your pork belly. So first of all, you're going to need to know how much meat you actually have. This needs to be in grams for this particular calculator. So you can either weigh your meat, or if you know what it is in pounds, you can convert it from pounds to grams here on the right. I'm going to go ahead and just put in 2,000 grams for our example. The cure #1, 6.25%, that's a fixed number. That's basically on the package you'll see on the back side of that cure #1, that's how much nitrates are in there. The rest of the cure salt is actually just regular salt or sodium chloride, as it mentions on the back of your package. As far as salt, I'm going to go ahead and down this to about 1.75. 2% seemed to be a little too salty for my taste, but you can kind of adjust that as you see fit. And then the 1% of sugar, I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Seemed to work in the past. This 156 number you really don't need to worry about. Essentially, it's the parts per million based on the 6.25%. So that's going to stay constant as well. Once we have all of this entered, I'm going to go ahead and press calculate the cure. And this is going to tell me exactly how much cure #1 I need, how much regular salt I need, how much sugar, and then that'll give me a total weight, which really isn't that important, but that's the total weight of your meat plus all the salt and sugars that you're adding here. So that's the basic EQ cure calculator. I'll go ahead and show you the rest of the process throughout here. Okay, now that you've seen the math behind the formula, we're going to go ahead and start mixing up our cure based on those calculations that we pulled from the Digging Dog calculator. So we're first going to add our cure salt. We will add our regular salt and our sugar. You can do them all separate, but I usually just like to zero out the scale between each thing and start over at 0, and then just add the correct amount of whatever else I'm adding. I'm gonna just give one little warning. This salt here, it does have kind of a pinkish color. This is not Himalayan salt that you typically think of when you think of pink salt. They add a red dye to the salt just to make it look different than regular salt. If you eat this on its own or use it as table salt, it's poisonous and can really cause some problems. So really it's only used for curing, and that's the only reason why it has the pink color in it, not to be confused with Himalayan pink salt. Okay, so for my first batch here, it is calling for 4.75 grams of curing salt. Go ahead and zero out the scale. 4.7 grams is really not a lot. Okay, we got the curing salt in there. And the salt for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and zero out the scale one more time. 28.86. So I'll go ahead and just call that 29 grams. Okay, and then the sugar is 19 grams of sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and zero that out one more time. And I'm going to go ahead and add 19 grams of sugar. All right, got my 19 grams of sugar in there. Okay, so I've got my cure for this particular piece of pork belly. I got it mixed up. Overall, you can see that's really not a whole lot of salt, sugar, or cure. So this is going to be spread out over both sides. I want to work it into this piece of meat. So I'm going to just go ahead and kind of sprinkle it across the top kind of as evenly as possible. Remember, we still got to do the other side, so we don't want to use all of the cure on one side. Go ahead and get that flipped over and do a similar process here. You can kind of work that in with your hands, make sure that it's not going to fall off when you package it. Try to get the sides, get everything as covered as you can and as evenly as you can with the amount of cure that you need. Okay, so you can see that one's ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is vacuum seal that. I'm going to go ahead and get these cure added to the rest of these pieces and show you how they all turn out. Okay, I've got the cure added to the different pieces of the pork belly. At this point, all 5 of these pork bellies are essentially the same. So if you wanted to just run with kind of some standard bacon, that would be fine. Just put these into the vacuum packs or into some large Ziploc bags. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and try a couple different variations. So I got some brown sugar I'm going to put on one of these. I got some agave syrup I'm going to try, and then I also have some everything bagel spice I'm going to try as well. So a couple different variations you could do. Of course, you could do black pepper, you could do maple syrup. Any of those variations that you want to try would be fine. Don't need to go excessive. A little bit goes a long way when it comes to the sugar and the spices and the flavoring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how we're going to prepare these to put them in the fridge for the next few weeks. Okay, I've got all the pork bellies cut, cured, and now I got them all vacuum sealed, ready to go into the fridge. So I have a couple different variations. I have the agave, I got the brown sugar, I got the everything spice, and then I got 2 regulars. So I'm going to go ahead and label them so I don't mix up which one is which when we're done with the process. And I'm also going to write the date which I started the process, because we want them to cure for at least 14 days. The process that we're using is called the EQ, or the equilibrium cure method. So basically all the nitrates and salts have to absorb into that meat, and it's going to take about 14 days for that to happen. Now each day that that's in the fridge, you're going to want to take it out, massage it a little bit, flip it over, stick it back in the fridge throughout that whole 14-day process. So pull it out, massage it a little bit, flip it over, and stick it back in the fridge. That way it'll help keep the cure, the meat curing evenly throughout the process. Okay, so it's been 14 days. The pork bellies have been in the fridge in the vacuum sealed bags. So I just pulled them out. You can see the vibrant colors that we have, the darker reds, and you can see that that meat has absorbed the cure. So you can see there's a few other areas that have a little more brown marks, discoloration. It's really not a big deal. Could have just been air in the bag that kind of affected that a little bit. But you can see overall it's been a really great cure, pretty even as far as the coloration throughout the meat. So the next step we're going to do is put these in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours.
to form a pellicle. So a pellicle is kind of a protein layer that forms around the meat as it cures, and really prepares it for that smoking process. That smoke will be able to adhere to that pellicle and have that really great flavor. So you might have to get a little creative as far as how you want to put these in the fridge. I'm just using cookie cooling racks, but you can use any other type of rack. Essentially just want that to be elevated off the surface of a pan or off the shelf in the fridge. So take a look and you'll see exactly how I put this in the fridge. We're going to give it 24 hours and then it's going to be off to the smoker.
Okay, so I just pulled the pork bellies out of the fridge. They've been in the fridge, unwrapped, for the last 48 hours. So you can see they've formed a nice pellicle over the surface of the meat, and the color of the meat has been enhanced with the dark reds and a little bit of the brown as well. So I'm going to get these loaded up on the smoker. I'm going to be hot smoking today using pecan and apple wood. So I'm going to get these loaded up, and you'll see we're in the final steps here. Can't wait to try this bacon. It's looking amazing. Okay, I've got the pork bellies hanging inside the smoker. If you have the space, I highly recommend you hang your bacon vertically. This will allow the smoke to penetrate both sides of the meat. If you don't have the space, that's fine. You can do it on a cooking rack. You may want to flip it over partway through the cook to ensure the flavor is penetrating on both sides. So I'm going to leave these for about 3 to 4 hours, and then I'm going to come back and check on them, make sure we're hitting that internal temperature of 145 before we pull them out. Okay, so I just took the bacon out of the smoker. You can see it looks and smells delicious. I can't wait to get this sliced up and try it. So this wraps up our making bacon video. Hopefully you've been able to see how easy it is to make bacon at home and how great the results can be. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll continue to provide great videos for you in the future. I'm gonna get this sliced up and into the freezer. Another batch done. Thanks for watching.